Hey, welcome back. It's your man Wise, and today I have a great video to share with you guys. Based Pastor is interviewed by someone from the TYT. Now, we know what time it is with the Young Turks. They are a liberal propaganda media outlet for the most part. Although Anna Kasparian, she's been going off on the policies of the left, Joe Biden, and the Democrats. She's been going off. Honestly, it's been fun to see. Before we get into this video, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Drop me a comment down below. I appreciate all the love and support. Make sure you turn those notifications on if you have not already, if you are currently subscribed to the channel. That way you know every time I drop a new video. And without further ado, let's go.
The Constitution was not written for immoral, unjust people. The Constitution was written for moral, spiritual people who could discern the times and the seasons through the Word of God. MAGA Black, I know the plight that's going on in the inner cities, inside the behind the scenes as a pastor for 22 years. There is nowhere else to go but to come back home. I'm talking to the black community, back home to the Republican Party, because that's what has to happen.
That Republican Party, if I can play, the reporter pushing back, that Republican Party is different than the one that they left, right?
That's why MAGA Black, we're talking about the policies that make sense, the policies that brought us together. It just so happened it was under that brash New Yorker, some guy named Trump. Heard of him? but it was really what worked.
Wears a white shirt and a red tie, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh my God! But it's what worked. Cutting taxes, lowering the unemployment, raising employment. These things actually worked. Peace through strength. Everything that was done in our foreign trade, building up our military, all of those things worked. That's the Republican Party I'm talking about. America first. That's what has to happen. I'm not talking about this rhino Republican Party. I'm talking about the Republican Party that freed the slaves, the party of Lincoln. We're talking about the party that when the slaves got out and they said, where we go? The first Republican Black Congress was initiated. That's the Republican Party I'm talking about, the party of Frederick Douglass. That's the party.
Why then are so many of our modern black leaders, deceased and living, why were they more associated with the Democratic Party? I'm not talking about in the 60s. I'm not talking about in the 70s or the 80s. I'm talking about now. I'm talking about John Lewis. I'm talking about Andrew Young and Julian Bond. I'm talking about Don McEachin, who we just talked about. Maybe Adam Clayton Powell takes us a little farther back, but you look at Benjamin Hooks. You know all the people I'm talking about. Why are they so associated with the Democratic Party? Why do they not see that that's where the Democratic Party is? Why the modern Democratic Party gave us first African-American president. We have the first African-American female vice president. Seems like that would be reason to celebrate.
This pastor is absolutely on point. We have to get back to our roots. The Republican Party of the past is still, in my opinion, somewhat the Republican Party of now. We have to get back to the party of Lincoln, the party of Frederick Douglass, the party of Booker T. Washington. We have to go back there. And honestly, we need to capture that mindset. The question that the reporter was asking about the first black president, lie, he's half black, and he's not black like most black Americans in this country. And what I mean by that is he's of Kenyan descent, not of American descent. He is not someone that has a descendant that was a part of the American slave trade. He is not one of them. See, they come with the smoke and mirrors and they want to tell you, oh, he's black. He's not. He is African-American or half African-American. He's definitely that. His father is from Kenya. When they talk about the first black vice president, again, she's not black. Her mother is Indian. Her father is Jamaican, but of Taino descent. Do your research. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole about the Tainos. They're good people. I have nothing but respect for the Taino people of the Caribbean islands, but I'm not going down that rabbit hole. Again, another person that they put out in front of us as a token to say that they are like us, and she is not like black Americans who have descendants that lived and were enslaved in plantations around this country. The people that he named, all of those people, for the most part, were a part of the W.E.B. Du Bois movement. the elite bourgeoisie of black people who wanted to pull black people away from the Republican Party, push them into the hands of the Democrats. And if you know anything about the Democrats during that time frame, they were and still are the party of slavery, the party of Jim Crow, the party of the New Deal, the party of Planned Parenthood, the party of eugenics, the party of redlining. That's who they are. But there was a sect of people, a sect of black people that were chosen, and they are the people that ushered a lot of black folks into the Democrat Party because they offered these folks handouts. We know how that has worked out for black people. So even when you go back to the 1800s, you go back to the census of 1830, you will find out that there were 347,000 free blacks. Of those 347,000 free blacks, a little over 3,000 of those people owned slaves. And they owned right around 12,000 slaves, maybe a little more. So what we do know is that all skin folk ain't kinfolk, and all white people were not slaveholders, and some black people were slaveholders. So you would have to assume that those that were slaveholders, they were also part of the Confederate. And you would have to assume that those people were also Democrats because they benefited from those policies way back when. So what we're dealing with right now is nothing new because there's nothing new under the sun.
Well, it goes back to family again. What was the family really all about? The family was about hard work, go to school, pay your bills, stay out of trouble. And the Democrat Party, if we really look real close, did the opposite. Massive incarceration, totally indoctrinating our kids through things like CRT.
Let's be fair, CRT is the emperor's new clothes, right? It's been taught by a couple of teachers in a couple of schools in a country of over 300 million people, right? That's not an epidemic.
Yeah, well, what happened was when it started saying that white men are the problem and black people will always be oppressed, that's an issue in a country called the United States of America.
Of course it's an issue, but it's not an issue because it's so isolated in little places where it's happened. Just like if there's somebody teaching a class that flies in the face of the Constitution, says the Constitution's a fake document. I'm not saying that exists, but if one person's doing it in the middle of Iowa, that's not a problem in America.
Well, what happened was that the division anywhere can become division everywhere. So as a pastor, it's a little leaven leavens a whole lump. So it's the little things that we ignore that keep a mountain and surmounting itself. Now it becomes an obstruction. It becomes an obstacle. And we allow these things, these little things to continue. Now we're dealing with a Goliath. So now we have to take down the giants of technology, the giants of what we call the uniparty. And so here we are. Now we have to really mean it, that if we're going to be solid and form solidarities, now has to happen. So that's what MAGA is really all about now.
But do you
He's absolutely right. You give them an inch, they take a mile. A bunch of little things eventually turn into big things. That's like you being with your spouse and you allow little things that bother you to pass over or get by. And another day something goes and another little small thing, but you don't address it. And another little small thing, but you address it. And then eventually you explode. And that individual is looking at you like, yo, what's going on? This wasn't even that big of a deal. Well, you allow 4 or 5 or 6 small things to fester, and the next thing you know, you exploded and it blew up. And that's what we're trying to keep from happening in this country. It's the little things that will get you beat. I used to tell my football team that all the time. It's the little things. See, the Democrats, they love using smoke and mirrors. That's their MO. They know how to use coded language that hides behind the actual truth of what they're trying to do, what they're trying to say, and what they're trying to implement.
see MAGA as uniting? I mean, certainly it unites people behind it and its idea and this candidate. A lot of people say it's a cult. It's a cult of personality, you know?
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that before, but always.
And I have people here, Pastor, who are saying to me that they would take a bullet for Donald Trump. He's not the president. He's not, you know, that's unusual. You don't hear that a lot.
This is what has happened. all of the atrocities, the calamities, the whole debacle at the border, everything now is causing people to awaken to what America is really all about. So this awakening now is taking on personal interests. So every community now is saying, I got something to lose in this if we don't stand together. And so that's what we're seeing. When a person says that, that's a personal interest. He's saying, yeah, and you know, everybody's not willing to die for anybody. But there are some who will say, it's that cause right now. That's what Patrick Henry said. Give me liberty or give me death. And now that we're hearing it again, it sounds to some foreign, but this is in the roots of this country. This is what America's all about. These men came from farmers and business people, and most of them were just wanting things to be better, who fought for this nation back in 1776.
You're talking about awakening. Part of awakening is woke, right? People talking about woke. What does that mean to you? What does the word woke mean?
Well, woke is a false idea of awakening. It does everything opposite of awakening, which is a revival, which comes from a spiritual stirring of one's consciousness. And so if you have a lot of dirt, you know, in your mind, and a lot of diluted or polluted things, what a revival does is shake the trees again so that now you can begin to see clearly. But what woke does, woke gives a false assimilation of action. Okay, I'm woke. Well, it doesn't give action.
Define it. What is woke?
It tells you what cannot work, what will not work in a people of community.
Right, but tell me what it is, though.
If I say I'm a man, and then I say all of a sudden I identify as a woman, that's woke. It gives demonstration of the total opposite of freedom, liberty, consciousness, all of those things. Woke actually shuts down. So it pretends its eyes are open, but their eyes are really asleep. And so when a person says that illegal immigration is cool, that's woke.
Why is that woke?
It's woke because we know a nation cannot survive off of bringing lottie-dottie, I'm being crazy now, but lottie-dottie and everybody into the country. A nation cannot remain sovereign if it keeps its borders open. And why do we expect America to do it when all these other nations, other places, close and shut their borders?
Wow. God bless that brother there. God bless that pastor there. I love seeing religious leaders step out there and stand up for what they believe in. For so many years, people have separated their faith from their politics. And now we are at a crossroad where that is something that we can no longer do, because separating our faith from our politics is actually putting us in this nation in harm's way. I appreciate everything that the good pastor said. I appreciate everything that he said. Let me know what you all think. Like, share, subscribe to the channel. Drop me a comment down below. I appreciate all the love and support. Keep God first in your life, America first, and I'm going to catch up with you all next time. Peace.